All right. Hello, everybody. And so today is our stability class. And so we probably don't often think of stability as being something that PMDD people have, sadly. Um, we know that when we go through these massive highs and lows, that stability feels sort of like something far away and practically impossible. And so we're called PMDD warriors, of course, because that struggle of feeling unstable mentally, physically, and often especially emotionally makes us feel like we're on a freaking roller coaster. And so thinking about stability and how that can be applied to a person with PMDD, we don't always necessarily want to think of rigidity or necessarily consistency. A lot of times we think of stability as this thing that is almost unchanging. But really, stability is the ability to endure the change. And so stability can be fluid. It can be almost a dance of coming back and forth in and out of balance. And so in today's practice, we'll focus on feeling physically stable in our bodies. We want to imagine our skeleton being really, really supportive of us. Because of course it is the skeleton's job to physically hold us together. The bones are what kind of constitutes us. It's the majority of our weight, and it's the thing that everything else is sort of structured around. And so we're not only thinking about stability in the physical sense, feeling it physically, but we also want stability in our mind. And even if that may not be a continuous, totally consistent thing, because again, we know we're PMDD warriors for a reason, we want to think about that stability as being a self-secure place. And so stability coming to us in a sense of security, the ability to let go, and again, returning to that idea that we can endure. And so let's just take a moment here. Feel free to pause the video. And I want you to journal or just take a moment to think about it, spend some time on this thought. What does stability look like to me? How do I define stability? And so as you think about this question, maybe break it down into three different ideas: stability in the physical body, stability in the mental body, and stability in the emotional body. So that may break down even further into stability in your work life, stability in your home life, or any way that you may take stability for yourself. And so as you continue to maybe journal or meditate on that idea of stability and what that may mean as applied to your personal life or to those different facets of your being, I'd like to take this moment to discuss the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And so the Yoga Sutras are said to have been written by one ancient sage, Patanjali. However, there's a real possibility that these were collected works, as they were mostly written on things that didn't necessarily hold up that well. So it started as an oral tradition, and then as it was written down, these writings were attributed to one person. And now the Yoga Sutras are very, very old, and they essentially describe the philosophical understanding of the yoga practice. And so in all of the Yoga Sutras, there's very little mention of actual postures, the way we think of yoga today in Western culture. In fact, the only real time we mention yoga as we think of it now in terms of asana or poses and structure, kind of the physical structure of the body, is in a yoga sutra that reads Sathira Sukham Asana, which essentially means the yoga posture should be steady and comfortable. And so as we work through this idea of stability, you can think back onto how for centuries, ancient wisdom has been helping humanity through the practice of yoga understand stability in their life, searching for that balance of steadiness and comfort. And so I always find this really marvelous because I feel like it connects us back to the practice of yoga in this sort of ancestral sense. And then it also connects us to the very real lived experience of how yoga can come off of our mat. When we practice these physically stabilizing postures today, and you think about that balance between steadiness and comfort as it applies to your body, you can also take these exercises like our journal prompts and this idea of stability and comfort and apply it to your personal life or your professional life, your romantic life. Seeking steadiness and comfort in our life is sort of one of the main missions. That's the thing that we work on underneath all of the other projects that we may actually spend our time on. So be gentle with yourself if some of the things that we do today don't feel steady or don't feel comfortable. Remember, it's a practice to try to achieve stability. So we always want to approach that practice with the effort to find steadiness and comfort, balancing effort with ease, and hopefully arriving at that stabilizing point. So if you feel all set, make sure you do have your props for this practice. We'll be using our blanket. We'll also need a chair for the later half of our practice, as well as 2 blocks and a bolster. And so in place of the bolster, you can use a couple pillows, as many pillows really as you need. I will make sure to go over that fairly thoroughly when we reach that part of the practice. So we are going to start standing. When we think about being stable, we want to think about standing on our feet. So if you are wearing socks, I would recommend that you take your socks off now. And so fair warning, the beginning of the practice is quite physical. As I said, we are going to get into our skeleton. We are going to think about moving the body in a way that reminds us of how powerful we are, feeling that heaviness in our bones. But that also means we need to work a little bit. So let's come on up to stand, taking your feet underneath your hips here, about 2 fist width distance apart. Again, if you want to bring your hands into fists, you can measure out the space between the arches of the feet. And now we want that distance here so that we feel as though the feet line up under the knees line up underneath the hips, and the hips are lining up underneath our shoulders. And so wiggle around a little bit. You can move your toes some here. You can take the shoelace part of your foot down to the ground. And then as you feel ready, we're going to establish our mountain. After all, not much is more stable than a mountain. Although, of course, we know even mountains move, and when they do, they have a dramatic effect on the landscape. So we are going to imbue some of those stabilizing qualities of the mountain into our own physical body. So after you have rocked back and forth a little bit through the feet, spread the toes nice and wide here, planting them down to the pinky toe, and then the 4th toe, and then the 3rd, the 2nd, and finally the big toe. Pressing into the ball of your foot, lean forward slightly, feel your toes grip into the earth. You want to think of your toes like little claws, and you'll notice that, wow, your toes are quite strong. And then go ahead and lean back here, maybe lifting the toes even, feeling the weight shift towards your heel a little bit more, maybe lifting the toes so that you can feel the arch of your foot lift. And then coming back forward, laying the toes back down. Think about your foot being as big as possible here, connecting as much of the surface area of your body with the earth. And now once your feet are fully planted, imagine visualizing in your mind sending roots deep down into the earth, reaching further than your feet, sending your energy down, 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 so that your roots can reach out and you can expand and again, feel even more stable. And now as your roots grow, go ahead and soften your knees a little bit, finding just a little bend here, keeping that downward pressure through the bottoms of the feet. And then taking your hands to the tops of your thighs, go ahead and press down into the feet as you inhale and lift up through the quadricep. Feel the muscle pull upward. And as that muscle pulls upward through the front, also lift through your buns, feeling your butt cheeks move slightly upward as well here. And then bringing one hand to your pelvis and the other hand to your tailbone right at the back. We want to think about gently lifting through the pubic bone as we scoop the tailbone slightly down towards the earth. You can imagine as though you are even reaching roots from your tailbone down into the ground. And now lifting up through the belly, lifting through the solar plexus, lifting through the sternum. We'll take both hands to the shoulders and roll the shoulders up and then back, drawing them together behind our heart. And then finally, the hands can relax open behind you with the thumbs, or beside you, with the thumbs pointing away from your body and your palms open in a gesture of receiving. As your feet reach down to the floor, draw up a little taller through the crown of your head, softening slightly through the front of the throat as the back of the neck elongates. As you arrive at the peak of your mountain, take a moment to check in. How does it feel to stand erect and in your own power? What do you notice? If there's any tension through your face or around your eyes, see if you can allow those muscles to soften and smooth, releasing any tension between the eyebrows, releasing the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. You are welcome to close your eyes, or if you would like, keep your vision focused forward. Looking straight ahead along the horizon line, you can allow your gaze to go kind of soft. Now, as you continue to stand actively in your mountain, it's okay if you notice that your muscles fatigue a little bit. You can relax and come back into it, readjust at any time. Again, we're always seeking that balance of steadiness and comfort, balancing effort and ease. Stability is not a constant thing. It is a practice. As your awareness and ability to acknowledge your body's sensations grows, take these next few moments to become deeply aware of your breathing. I'd like to invite you to practice samavriti breathing here, which means matching the length of the inhalation with the length of the exhalation. If it works for you, imagine breathing in for a 4 count, and then breathing out for a 4 count. You can increase or decrease this number at your comfort, simply matching the length in with the length out. And again, applying this idea of steadiness and comfort. So trying not to force the breath, allowing it to be an exploration of giving and taking. So much of what is stability is taking in and letting go, controlling and releasing. Is there anywhere that you can exercise maybe just a little bit more control in this moment? Or is there a space for you to release a little more and let go? As your awareness of your body and your breathing grows, take this next opportunity to place your hands together in front of your heart, setting an intention for this practice. I recommend an I am statement. And if you would like to borrow one, I am stable, or I seek stability with steadiness and comfort. Whatever intention may work for you, take a moment here to find those words, breathing into them and witnessing them in your mind's eye. Let's take one more breath in. And exhaling, you can slowly release your hands. Go ahead and blink your eyes open. And now from here, you can again just shift from side to side. It is awfully hard to stand completely still. So if that felt difficult, it's because it is, and it's allowed to be. So we are now going to grab our block. And we're going to take our block so that the short side of it faces outward and bring the block into the upper inner thigh area. And so if you've ever seen a Pez dispenser that opens up, the head opens up and you can shoot candy out, you almost want to think about squeezing this block so that if we wanted to, we could Pez dispenser our little block out right from between our legs. And so with the feet about hip width distance apart again here, again, that's about 2 fist width distance, we're going to move into our chair pose. This is also sometimes called lightning bolt pose or Utkatasana in Sanskrit. And so pressing the thighs towards one another with the feet staying underneath the hips, we want to think about the inner thighs squeezing that block. I always like to imagine as though there was glitter in this box, and if I squeezed enough, glitter could fly out, which would be really cool, I think. And so we will keep the feet really rooted and planted, drawing down through the feet, squeezing and activating your glutes, activating those inner thighs, elongating through the tailbone, lifting through the front of the body. Release your arms down beside you here. And then we'll inhale, sweep the arms forward as you bend your knees and drop your tailbone down to the floor. Shift your weight back towards your heels a little bit so that your knees move behind your toes. Pull your belly towards your back and tuck your tailbone a little further towards the ground. So in this posture, people have a tendency to stick their booty out as though they're Kim Kardashian. We want to think about tucking it down instead. And again, imagine as though the tailbone was another root that you could dig deep into the earth. Pressing down into the feet, exhale, sit a little deeper. It's okay if your vision goes downward. Let's take one more big breath. Exhale out. Push into the feet. Inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale and take your hands back down in front of your heart. Squeezing the block still here, lifting through the crown of the head, standing tall in our mountain pose with hands at heart center. Use this opportunity to rest momentarily. Allow your heart rate to slow. Monitor your thoughts and feelings. Release your arms down beside you. Squeeze your block, lift through the crown of your head. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, bend your knees, draw your knees back behind your toes. Exhale a little deeper, sitting into your chair. Squeeze downward through the tailbone, long through the low back. Imagine as though your arms were pressing outward here, holding the pinky side of the hand slightly upward so the palms face towards the side. Soften the shoulders down away from the ears. Keep the back of your neck long. Take a big breath in. Exhale, sit a little deeper. Inhale, push into the feet. Squeeze your block. Lift all the way up. Exhale, release your hands back down beside you. Join your hands at heart center. See if you can return to that same length breathing. Equal inhale, equal exhale. And if your mind wanders away to, shit, this is really hard, or I'm having trouble breathing, or my legs are burning, See if you can come back to that idea of stability, finding steadiness and comfort, and allowing your practice to exist in a less judgmental place, knowing that it is just that, a practice, and you are allowed to rest at any time throughout. Release your arms back down beside you. Push into the feet, lift through the crown of the head. Inhale, arms reach up, tailbone drops down, shifting slightly so you can see all 10 toes. Keep the low back long, outwardly pressing through the arms. If you're feeling balanced, maybe try to lift all 10 toes. Keep your belly pulled towards the small of your back. Let's take another breath in. Exhale, so a little deeper. Squeeze the legs, squeeze your butt. Inhale, press into your feet. Lift straight up towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands circle back to heart center. Notice what you're noticing. Can you come back to a present moment awareness? Can you come back to your breathing? With your next exhale, release your hands back down beside you. Soften your legs and we can remove our blocks, setting it off to the side. And so from here, we're going to turn out towards the long edge of our mat, opening wide into our 5-pointed star shape. And so think about taking your legs approximately one of your leg lengths distance apart. So fairly wide here. And then taking your hands to heart center, inhale and extend out open through the arms. And now look down at your hand, or look from your hand down to your leg, and notice if your foot approximately lines up with your wrist. And so if you're way here and your wrists are way past your feet, step your feet a little wider. And now as we reach out through the arms, draw the shoulder blades together, opening the hands really actively, thinking about the stretch starting at the center of your chest and moving out through the fingertips. Lifting still through the belly here, squeezing these hip points towards one another to engage our transverse abdominis. And then imagine as though from the inner arch of the foot up through the inner thigh and groin was lifting, as the outer edge of the legs down the side of the leg to the blade of the foot was reaching downward. This is your 5-pointed star. Finding that same side breathing. Inhaling for 4, exhaling for 4, if that number works for you. Making yourself really big here, finding the stability as you are outstretched. Let's take another big breath in. And now as you exhale, turn your heels in slightly, bend your knees, pressing the knees outward. We'll pull the shoulder blades back towards one another as we squeeze and open the chest. Open the hands nice and wide, sit a little deeper. Pressing outward through the knees, opening into the inner thigh and groin. This is our yoga for PMDD symbol. This is sometimes called goddess pose. Let's take another big breath in. Exhale just a little deeper. Inhale and extend up, straighten your legs, reach your arms overhead. Turn your heels back out slowly. And then with your exhale, take your hands back out. If your arms start to fatigue, your shoulders start to ache, take your hands to your hips. Keep focusing on reaching downward through the legs. Lift through the heart and through the crown of the head. It's okay if your heart is racing. These are challenging cardio practices, help to strengthen our skeleton. We need to do weight-bearing exercises to help strengthen our bones. Let's take another breath in. Exhale, turn the heels in, knees bend, externally rotating. So thinking about the outsides of the knees moving back towards the long edges of the mat. If you want to, take the arms back up, squeezing elbows towards one another. Crown of the head draws away from the base of the spine. Keep breathing. Feel your power here. Let's take one more breath. Exhale, sit a little deeper. Inhale, push into your feet. Lift straight up. Exhale, adjust your feet. Exhaling down. Big in your five-pointed star. Let this be a place of rest, if possible, as you actively extend. Find your glutes if you've lost them, squeezing your booty. One more breath in. Exhale, take your arms up, bend your knees, sit into your goddess. And so again, scooping down through the tailbone, lifting through the pubic bone, lifting through the sternum. It's okay to touch your body to help decide where to lift too. Take your arms down if they are bothering you at all. One more breath in. Sit a little deeper. Inhale, extend the arms up, pressing up through the legs. Exhale, take it out to your five-pointed star. As you come all the way out, bring your hands to your hips as you adjust your feet. Now from here, we'll look down at our right foot. Spin your right foot so that the toes point towards the shoelace edge of, towards the short end of your mat. And now check that when you turn your leg out, that your right hip doesn't dip way below your left. And so we want to bring the pelvis back to neutral. And then we're going to bend into the right knee, coming to warrior two pose here. That right knee will continue to externally rotate towards the long edge of the mat as we press actively down through that right foot. Inhale and extend your arms across the horizon line. Reaching through the hands from the center of the chest through the middle fingers, looking over the right middle finger. This is warrior two, or sometimes called hero two, the Virabhadrasana two. Actively reaching down through the back edge of your leg. Let's take another breath in. Exhale and take your right hand so that the forearm rests atop the right thigh. Inhale and extend the left arm across. We're going to move a little bit faster through this one because it's hard. Inhale and extend your arm back up. Exhale, return to warrior two. Inhale long. Exhale, right forearm comes down, left forearm comes across. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, come down. Inhale, come back up. Last one, exhale, come down. Inhale, come back up, returning to warrior two. And we'll inhale to straighten that right leg, exhaling to turn the right foot back towards the long edge of the mat. And now hands can come to the hips here or relax down beside you. Inhale and lift up through the crown of the head. And then we'll exhale and you can slide your hands down your legs as we lean forward, taking the crown of the head down towards the ground. Shake out your head as you shift your weight forward towards your toes. Your hands can come to the floor or find your blocks here. Feel free to shift your legs side to side. Sway from side to side if you want through the upper body. Wherever you are, let's inhale and come up halfway. Fingertips can come to the floor or to the shins. Crown of the neck is long, away from the base of the spine. And then sliding the hands to the hips, pull your belly towards your back, bend your knees, chin tucks towards chest. Inhale and slowly come up. And now from here, we'll spin our left foot to face towards the short end of the mat. Same thing. If you notice the left hip comes way down below the right, try to bring your pelvis back to neutral. Bending into that left knee, taking it directly over the heel. Pressing actively down through that left foot. Inhale and open the arms out. Find your breath. Find your intention. Find your balance between steadiness and comfort. Inhale. Exhale, left forearm to the thigh, and then inhaling the right arm across, reaching the right hand away from the right foot. Then we'll move a little faster. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, come down. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come down. Last round. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come down. Inhale, come back to center. Inhale, straighten that left leg. Exhale, turning the foot back. Your hands can come back to your hips. And now from here, just go ahead and heel toe everything back together. You can press down into the shoelace part of your foot. Notice how your body is feeling. Shake it out. Get a little bit of water if you would like. Okay. So from here, we're going to come down onto our hands and knees into tabletop position. And so take a moment, if you would like, to just find a child's pose. You can take your toes together and your knees wide, or take your thighs together and rest your belly on top of them. You can extend your arms forward or take them back beside your hips. Forehead can come down to the ground. Using this time to slow your heart rate a little bit, slow your breathing. If you want to roll your forehead side to side, you can do so. Let's take 3 more breaths and then we'll meet in tabletop position. Inhale to tabletop here, bringing the knees underneath the hips and the hands underneath the shoulders. And so for this next little flow sequence here, you have some options. And so we'll be going from plank to down dog. If you would prefer to do low plank to puppy dog, you can do that. And so low plank to puppy dog would look like this. We'll take our hands one full handprint forward of where they are under our shoulders. And then inhale, shift forward so that your shoulders come over your wrists and your hips drop down to the ground. And now when we do this, we don't want to just let our hips flop down to the ground. Keep your belly firm, the front of the hips pulling towards one another, and let your booty still stay active as you come forward into this low plank. And now you can flow from low plank to a puppy dog position, stepping the hands further forward and melting the heart down. Taking the hands back and then shifting the hips forward. We could do that 3 times. Or if you want to try the high plank version to down dog version, you can do that 1 time, 2 times, or all 3 times. We have options and variations here. So high plank is taking the feet back, stepping them about hip width distance apart. Remember, that's 2 fist width. Shoulders stay over the wrist, pressing outward through the arms, lifting up through the chest as the crown of the head reaches away from the feet and the belly pulls towards the back. And so don't lose your shoulders, don't lose your hips. Squeeze and activate upward. Inhale. Exhale, push the hips up and back, reaching down through the heels, press into the hands, reach down a little further through the feet, lift a little more through the hips and the hands. Inhale, shift forward to high plank or to low plank. You can take the knees down if you want. Keep pressing up through the arms. Take another breath in. Exhale, lift the knees, press up through the hips, reach down through the heels. Inhale, slowly shift forward, high plank or low plank. Match the length of your inhale with the length of your exhale if possible. Inhale, Exhale, push the hips up and back. Reach down through the heels, release the head. Soften through the elbows just a little bit. Keep your belly engaged here. Last one. Inhale, shift forward to high plank or low plank. Find your stability. Inhale. Exhale, push up and back to downward dog. Go ahead and move a little in your down dog. And then when you're ready, slowly lower. Knees come down to the ground. You can come to sit back onto your feet for just a moment, sitting on top of your shins. Or if you would like, maybe cross at the ankles, roll over onto your bottom. If your knees aren't going to let you do that, no problem. You can simply shuffle the feet off to the side and come to sit on your bottom that way. When you have made it to your bottom, go ahead and find your blanket. We're going to set ourselves up onto our blanket here. Extending the legs out. Adjust your pants or your top, whatever you've got going on. And so now we are going to practice staff pose. This is one of our most stabilizing seated postures we can do. If your heart is still racing and your arms are burning a little bit from our plank to down dog practice, that's okay. Remember, we're working our skeleton here. We want to remember our arms are a strong part of our body. And so with your legs extended straight out in front of you, go ahead and lean back here momentarily. Just give your legs a shake. Wiggle your toes. You should feel fairly powerful now. We've done a lot of powerful stabilizing physical postures. So it should maybe feel like you're a little more acquainted with your muscles, maybe even feeling a little lactic acid buildup. If that's okay, or if that's happening, that's okay. Make sure that your breath is slow and steady. And so to complete our last little series of flowing sequences here, we will take our feet in alignment with our hips. Again, that's about 2 fist width distance apart. With the heels on the floor initially, we'll pull our toes back towards our shin. And for most people, this takes their heels just a little bit off of the ground. And now you'll notice as you pull the toes back towards the shin, that activates your quadriceps. And you can go ahead and touch the muscle there, feel your quadriceps activate. When we pull our toes back towards our shin, we're engaging something called Pada Bandha, our foot lock. Pulling your belly towards your back, lift tall through the crown of the head as you soften your shoulders down away from your ears. And now your hands can come down to the ground beside your hips. If your hands aren't, or excuse me, if your arms aren't quite long enough, if your torso is a little longer than your arms, your blocks can come beside you. If your arms are a little longer than your torso, feel free to just press the palms straight down into the ground. If you want to activate challenge mode, if you're not already there, you can extend your arms up overhead. Keep your legs really active. Again, this is just like doing a plank or a mountain pose. So it should feel familiar here, all this activation, especially through our core and our legs. Okay, let's take another breath in. Exhale and slowly take your hands back down to the ground if they were lifted, or if they were on the floor, slide them back behind you. And now we're going to soften our legs, bend your knees so that your feet come flat to the floor. Feet stay hip width distance apart. Press down into your arms to start to straighten them. And then we'll inhale, push into the feet, lift up through the hips, squeeze your glutes coming into a reverse tabletop. Pushing upward as you squeeze the inner thighs towards one another. Let's take another breath in. Exhale and slowly lower your bottom down towards the ground. Extend your legs back forward. This time, if you're not using your blocks already, place one of them. So again, the shortest part is facing up toward you. We want to Squeeze the block, really active here. Pull your toes back towards your shins. Notice if that changes the experience any. It may feel a little easier. Really, really squeeze the crap out of that block. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the videos of the woman who squeezes watermelons between her legs, but it's amazing. She crushes a watermelon just with her inner thighs. Oh, take that energy, squeeze that block. Lifting through the belly, squeeze the inner thighs towards one another. Maybe your arms lift. If not, that's okay. We've already done a lot this practice. Keep squeezing. Let's take another big breath in. Exhale, slowly take your hands back behind you. Fingers point towards your bum. And then we can soften our legs momentarily, bending the knees. Maybe this time your feet stay a little further away from your bottom. That will make the challenge of lifting a little bit more. If you're already challenged enough, no worries. Squeezing the block once again, activate that inner thigh and groin area. Push into the feet. Inhale, lift through the hips. Keep squeezing the block. Keep lifting through the hips. Press down into the hands. Take another breath in. Exhale, slowly lower down. Extend the legs back out. Inhale all the way up. And so you can stay right here if that feels good. If you would like to, come off of your blanket just momentarily. We'll bring the blocks back behind us just momentarily, lining them up approximately beside one another, taking the blocks towards, or so that the flattest part is what's down on the ground. And so finding staff pose, once again, this is also called Dandasana pose. Toes pull towards the shins. Hands can press into the ground, lift through the heart, lift through the chest. You can also tuck the chin slightly here, engaging our throat lock. Maybe your arms lift up. We've got one more breath. Exhale, if your arms are extended, slowly take them back down. If your arms are on the ground, slide them back. If you would like to, take them to your block. Now this time, if you would like, you can bend your knees again, or maybe try to keep them straight. Pressing down into our hands. Inhale and lift up through the legs, reaching the toes down to the floor here, pressing a little higher through the hips. This is Purvottanasana pose, stretching the front of our body. Let's take one more big breath in. And now this time, as you exhale, keep your hips lifted, drag your feet back, keeping your arms straight. You can pull your hips back into the space between your arms, and then slowly set your bum down in between your blocks. That is really fun to try. You don't win anything if you can or cannot do it, but it is fun to try. Okay, so that is our physical postures, our stabilizing postures. Now at this time, I invite you to close your eyes if you want to lie down onto your back, onto the mat, or if you want to take a moment to sit into your chair. Take a moment to tune in. How do I feel physically? What sort of awareness do I have of my skeleton now? What do I notice about my muscles? Where did I feel especially stable? You can meditate on these questions or take the time to write them down if you would like. Taking just about a minute more. All right. And so wherever you are, feel free to pause the video if you need more time. We are going to take just a moment now to do another breathing exercise that is very stabilizing for our mind. And now this is called alternate nostril breathing. And the idea here is that we want to balance the breath through the left and right nostril, the left and right side of the body, the left and right hemispheres of the brain. And so you are free to sit cross-legged, or you could sit up on your chair. For this particular breathing exercise, I'm going to recommend, but not very strongly, that you practice thunderbolt pose. And so this is simply sitting on top of the shins. And now if your feet are tight or your knees are tight and you don't like this, no worries, feel free to sit in any way that feels comfortable. It may help to build a little bit of a platform. You can take your blocks and essentially make them into a little bicycle seat. Taking your blanket on top of your bicycle seat, then you can sit with your knees a little bit wider, but you're supported on top of your block by your sits bones. So whatever may feel most comfortable for you, go ahead and set yourself up to sit. And now, finding some length through the crown of the head, we'll relax our right hand down onto the top of the thigh. And then forming a Y with your hands, tucking the index finger, middle finger, and ring finger down to the palm of the hand, keeping the thumb and pinky extended. We'll place the pinky finger on the right nostril, closing the right nostril, inhale through the left. Open the right, close the left, and exhale. Inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. That's one round of alternate nostril breathing. Keep the right closed, inhale through the left. Open the right, close the left, exhale. Inhale through the right nostril. Close the right, open the left, exhale. That's two rounds. Keep the right nostril closed, inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Three rounds. Let's do three more on our own. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Two more just like that. Once you've finished, relax your left hand back down to the top of the thigh. Taking a moment here to notice your breathing, noticing how your body is feeling. Noticing any new awareness you may have created. When you feel ready, slowly allow your eyes to open. We'll join our hands together in front of us with the thumbs pointing upward. And now interlace your fingers, keeping the pinky finger straight, taking the right thumb on top. We'll try to take the other fingers down into our hands, and only the pinky fingers will stay pressed together. Now the right thumb stays over the left into what we call murti mudra, which is the gesture of the body, helping us to focus on our skeletal system, on finding a sense of stability. And so we'll relax our shoulders back and down, letting our hands rest in approximately our lap or just below our belly button. Now, this gesture is a 2 on the energy scale, so it'll allow our energy to come down even further, especially after cultivating a lot of steady and comfortable physical postures here, where we were definitely stabilizing our body. And so I invite you to close your eyes once again, connecting to your root chakra, enhancing even further the awareness of your body from the inside out. Notice if your hands are really tense in your mudra, and see if you can let your fingers relax a little bit. They don't have to have a death grip for it to work. It can be subtle. We are, after all, dealing with subtle energy. Notice if your breath drops even deeper into the base of your body. Maybe affirming to yourself at this time, steadiness and comfort at all levels of being provides a firm foundation for my journey. Let's take 3 more soft, slow, deep breaths. With your next exhale, you can slowly release your hands. Maybe relaxing them down onto the top of the thighs. Your chin can tuck towards your chest. And if you want to roll your head a little, you are welcome to. All right, beautiful people. From here, if you are on your chair or on a supported prop, go ahead and come off. Let's come back to our bottoms. We'll use our blanket once again to support our bum. And now we are going to take our bolster here, or you can also use your chair. What we want to do is find a bound angle forward fold. So placing the soles of the feet together. I'm actually going to turn this way because it'll be easier for this camera to see me. All right, so I'm going to start using the chair for this one, taking the chair in front of me here so that the seat of it faces towards me. I'll then place the blocks underneath my legs with the soles of my feet together, and then we can simply fold forward onto the chair. And so if you want to, your arms can support your head. If you would like to come a little further, maybe your flexibility allows, you can also take your bolster in front of you. Moving the chair out of the way, you can rest onto the bolster in your fold. We'll be here for a few moments, so find a place that feels really comfortable, where again, you can practice being steady and comfortable. Deep diving into your breathing. allowing the inner thigh and groin to stretch out now from where we really activate it and asked it to work during our goddess pose, our 5-pointed star, our mountain pose, our chair pose, pretty much everything we did today. So letting that area just stretch and open and become expansive. Allow your breathing to continue to fill the base of your body. Return to the intention that you set at the beginning of the practice. Recalling those words to your mind's eye, seeing them, breathing into them, allowing your body to relax and restore a little more deeply. We have about 30 seconds left here. With your next inhale, you can slowly press into your hands and take them to the ground or to the chair to lift yourself up, taking your shoulders back over your hips. Using your hands now, gently press your legs back to center. Your blocks can come off to the side for now, and then you can also move your chair off to the side for now. And so now, if you weren't already using your bolster, make sure you grab it. You can move your blocks off out of the way, and we can uncross the ankles, rolling over onto the knees, or again, sending the legs up over onto the side. We'll come into a supported child's pose. And so your blanket or whatever you're using as a support for your bum can now come forward to support your face. We can take the knees wide here with the toes touching shoelace part of the foot down onto the ground, pulling the bolster in towards your inner thighs. Bring your hands forward to frame the bolster. And again, this can be a couple pillows stacked on top of each other. We'll inhale and draw the heart forward. So think about pulling your low back away from your tailbone. And then we'll exhale and take your cheek of choice down on top of your support. Your hands can stretch forward towards the short end of your mat or out into a hug or back beside your feet. We'll stay for a little while with this cheek turned down, and then I'll let you know when it may be a good time to turn your head. If you haven't already done so, know that you can adjust at any time. And now, as you rest here, breathe deep into the small of your back. Imagine as though every exhale could allow even more of your chest and torso to rest onto the top of the bolster. See each inhale as a filling and each exhale as an emptying. My apologies, I was receiving a phone call. If you have not already done so, maybe turn your head and take the opposite cheek down onto your support. Noticing what changes in your body when you do so. Feeling your heart beat into your bolster. And again, thinking about this idea of stability. Remembering that the heart does not always beat at the same rate, and yet it allows us to continue to move and operate throughout our life. It's not necessary to be consistently the same to still be stable. Let's take 3 more full deep breaths, starting to prepare yourself to move once more. And then as you feel ready, press down into your hands and slowly lift up through your heart, taking your shoulders back over your hips. And now at this time, take your blanket back behind you to serve as a pillow. And then you can take your bolster forward here, or again, a bunch of pillows stacked on top of each other. We can move the legs together and roll over onto our bottom. And now if you do have any socks or a second blanket that you could use to cover yourself, go ahead and get cozy. If you would like to get another sip of water, go ahead and do that. We are coming into the closing portion of our practice, where we give our body the ability to process what we have done, where we give our mind the opportunity to reconnect with the body. And so taking your legs now so that the calves are supported onto your pillows, your bolster, whatever you may have. If you want to take the legs up extra high, you can also use the seat of your chair and rest your calves right on the seat of your chair. And so then lying down onto your back, Taking your blanket underneath your head so that you support the natural curve of your neck. Let your toes turn out slightly, relaxing so that your legs will stay on top of your support. You can take your arms open beside you, tucking the shoulders underneath your heart. Lift the crown of the head so that you can pull it away from the shoulders, and then let your head come down so that your throat is still open, finding that balance. With each breath out, let yourself soften a little more towards the floor. If it feels comfortable, allow your eyes to close. Allow your body to feel relaxed and heavy, fully inhabiting yourself here. As you grow comfortable, release control over your breathing, allowing your body to breathe you. Relax and let go. I'll let you know when it's time to return. Be at peace. Slowly begin to deepen your breath. Noticing how it feels to be you at this moment. Feeling your body resting heavy on the floor. Feeling the clothing resting on your skin. As you feel comfortable, begin to move slowly, taking your time, maybe pulling your knees towards your chest, taking your feet off of the bolster. We can slowly roll over to the side of your choice, resting in the fetal position, taking this opportunity to feel deeply grateful for this yoga practice. Pressing into your top hand, slowly come up to seated. Sitting on your bottom, on your blanket if you would like, or sitting in your chair. Joining the hands together in front of the heart. Taking this opportunity to return to the intention that you set at the beginning of the practice. Or if a new intention would serve you better at this time, taking the moment to acknowledge a new intention. Allowing that balance of steadiness and comfort to help bring stability to our life. Touching the thumbs to the forehead, reminding us to live with an open mind, and touching the thumbs to the heart, reminding us to love with an open heart. It's been my honor to guide you through your practice. We can acknowledge one another with Namaste. All right. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope that you feel like you were challenged, that you also surprised yourself with how powerful you are. And I hope that you recognize that stability is not rigid. It's not something that has to be totally consistent. Stability really is the ability to endure, which PMDD people have in abundance. We endure every single month. And so take maybe some time now that the practice is complete to self-check in, maybe journaling what felt really great for your body during this practice, what you were surprised to find, anything that maybe came up for you that is worth noting. Again, my deepest honor to be with you on this journey. If you have any questions, comments, feedback of any variety, I am here for it. I love you sincerely, and I will see you next time. Mwah.